We are joined by Attorney Jeff O'Brien for our weekly 3 and Out, 3 sports stories, and usually sports stories. And we just, during the football season, we talk a lot about your Gophers, your Johnnies, your Tommies. And Gophers, they got news yesterday. While Indiana was finding out they are the number 1 ranked team in the country and will go into the college football playoffs with the top rank, which we all knew would happen after they beat Ohio State. The Gophers are going to the Cut Rate Bowl.
Yeah, it's the Rate Bowl.
Oh, pardon me.
December 26th in Phoenix. My understanding too, Bob, is that Nebraska got a better bowl game.
Yep, I saw that.
Even though the Gophers beat them.
They travel better, and that's what they're looking at too. I mean, their fans will go to games.
Yep. And you know, what's interesting about the juxtaposition of Indiana being number 1 in the country and the Gophers going to the Rate Bowl.
Cut Rate Bowl.
Huh?
Cut Rate Bowl.
Yeah, there you go. So Indiana won the Big Ten championship on Saturday. It's their first Big Ten championship since 1967. They were co-champions
with the Gophers.
And that was the Gophers' last Big Ten championship. So,
and
Indiana has been just as much dregs as the Gophers have been, since that.
Historically, far more dregs because they didn't have the good run in the 30s the Gophers had, or the 50s, 60s.
Right. So, I think with Coach Fleck, no question he's done better than some of the previous coaches, but they need to have a decision. Are they going to just be a second tier? Any bowl game is good, and that's enough. We might be able to beat Wisconsin, but that's probably all of the trophy games we're going to win. Or do they want to focus on? We need to have a team good enough to at least beat Iowa and go to a Florida bowl game, right? And if that's the case, they have to figure some things out. Now, he talks about NIL money. Signetti in Indiana made friends with Mark Cuban, who's an IU alum, and that's how they fund their NIL program.
And there's plenty of money, plenty of Minnesota alums with money.
I would say the same thing. He's just not reaching them apparently. So, the tricky part is, what do you do? How do you do? Who's out there that could do better? But who knows? But it gets frustrating as a longtime fan that we seem to be settling into good enough because of how bad they were before this.
Hey, you know what really rankles me? Because we both know he's going to get a contract extension. When other top programs are firing coaches for doing far more than he's been able to do. And now we were talking off the air. He had allegedly a good recruiting class, but will it translate? I mean, it's not like kids aren't coming here, but some are staying, some aren't. But he's not getting him to that next level, and that's the problem. And the Gophers have to decide: do they want to? Are they happy just to throw out a program that is mid-level in the Big Ten? And that's what they have, and that's what they're going to have. And Signetti did it in 2 years, and frankly, he should have raised the bar now for every Big Ten football team, for their administrations to say, why not us?
Yeah.
And that's the question. Why not them? But they're, again, they'll be happy going to these bowls. And by the way, you talk about traveling, like the Nebraska fans traveling well. I don't care how big a fan you are, and they'll have some that go, but come on. It's a day after Christmas. So you got to plan a trip. I know that it's in a nice warm climate, but you still have to plan a trip to leave on Christmas or before to go see the Gophers play, to see a middling team with 7 wins. What were they, 7-5?
On the positives, maybe many of the alums who last saw them in a Rose Bowl are probably living in Arizona right now, so it's not that far of a drive.
That's true. They'll shake them awake and say, "Do you want to go to the game?"
Yep.
So, all right. Well, good to go to the Cut Rate Bowl. Who are they playing again? New Mexico or whatever?
New Mexico.
Oh.
Yeah.
Woo! That's exciting. Meantime, Indiana's going to have a bye in their first game because they're number 1 in the country, and Ohio State will have a bye because they're number 2 in the country.
Yeah.
So what a mess. All right. Now the Johnnies lost. And
yes, they did.
They lost to River Falls. They got up 7-0, but then the wheels came off, and apparently that River Falls is pretty good. So they're out of the Division III playoffs. However, the other MIAC team, the team that did beat the Johnnies, and I'm going to give some props to Bethel now because they are still alive in the Division III playoffs. And I do, we talk about the Johnnies for a couple of reasons. One of the big reasons is their history of success. And last week I said it was 3. It's 4 national titles that they have won in Division III football, and also before that the NAIA in Division III. So that is a program that is successful, has been successful for 60 years of winning. And Bethel's had a decent program, but most of the time they wind up second to the Johnnies. And now though they're still undefeated and still cranking along. So we'll see how it continues for them. And you made a good point about both the problem that both the Johnnies and Bethel have. St. Thomas is out, and that Wisconsin League's got some really good teams, but the fact that they have good teams, they play each other, right?
Yeah, you've got Whitewater, River Falls, Platteville, all in, and La Crosse, all in the playoffs this year that had been there, and Oshkosh has been there in recent years as well. So they've got a lot better teams in the WIAC than the MIAC, and for St. John's, they only have Bethel.
They got one team that's good that they play. Now, they do have a non-conference schedule where they usually schedule one of those WIAC teams. It is WIAC, right? WIAC?
Right.
Okay.
Yep. But, this is like when St. Thomas was essentially kicked out of the MIAC, we talked about this, that the real loser in this whole thing was St. John's. They lost their big rival, and they lost kind of their their edge sharpener in St. Thomas. But kudos to Bethel. Bethel is now they're undefeated. They're going to be playing North Central, which is the defending D3 champ, who's also undefeated. Next weekend in Naperville.
Is North Central, are they ranked number 1 overall?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Well, but also, the Bethel's like number 4, right? Number 3 or 4. Yeah. So they have a pretty good. I think 4 is what they are. So I mean, let's see what happens
because of where they were ranked, and because they were the conference champ. They were at home the last 2 weekends. So this game when they beat Wisconsin Platteville this last Saturday, they were in Arden Hills. So they've had the benefit of home games, whereas the Johnnies they got one home game, then they had to play in River Falls, which is not.
But if you're good, you win wherever you go. So that shouldn't matter.
So,
that one doesn't. I mean, if you want to win a national title, you better be able to win home or away wherever the heck it is. And I will say this though, the Bethel is at least used to playing in bad weather, which I assume Naperville is not great weather, right? It's not going to be. So we'll see how it play. Hey, I've become a big Bethel fan. They're the Royals, right?
Bethel Royals, yeah.
I know the Johnny. And why don't they just be the Bettys? The Bethel Bettys. Hey, St. Thomas, Tommies. St. John's, Johnnies. This should be the Bettys, but they're not. All right. Well, Attorney Jeff O'Brien, our weekly 3 and Out. Thanks so much. We'll take a quick break. The BS Show will be right back.